Thank you, Mr. Glasgow. Wanted to sort of give a list of sort of the lecture, so you have an idea that there's about 5 of these lectures, and they do fit together, actually. The next one is November 19th, which I know you can check the webpage and find out about that. That will involve a couple of students, and Mr. Yanko and Mr. Butler, who I see is in the back, and me. In January, and then again in April, we have 2 guest speakers. One is a freelance writer who has written for New York Times, National Public Radio, a couple of other journals like that. And the last one in April is a musicologist. He's a specialist in Middle East musical instruments and the history behind those. And that's pretty hands-on, right? The last one in May is the 10th grade, presenting their findings, a year-long research project that you'll be doing in your history. Most of you out there will be doing in your history classes. Now, turn back. The overall title of the lecture series is Beyond Us and Them. And us and them are quotation marks, use italics. They have a special meaning that we hope you'll get as we go forward tonight. International cooperation is an imperative for the 21st century. Humanity faces global crises of epic proportions. You've heard the list before. Global warming, proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, conflict in nearly every corner of the world, the spread of disease, economic uncertainty, and an enormous gulf between rich and poor. Despite the obvious need, international organizations such as the United Nations have never been weaker. The forces of nationalism, separatism, violence, and hatred have never been stronger. While there are many obstacles that hamper international cooperation, an emphasis on cultural differences and the perception of the other, the idea that people are very different ethnically, culturally, ideologically, these are formidable barriers standing in the way. Viewing people as strange and through us versus them lenses makes it easier to ignore the plight of millions of human beings in other regions of the world. It makes it very easy to oversimplify international problems. It is a message reinforced in the media by political figures, popular culture, school curriculum in the United States and elsewhere. In short, the good versus evil mindset in all its variations is pervasive. Understanding, debunking, and demonstrating the danger of holding such simplistic views of the other was the cardinal point of Edward Said's work, a scholar we'll be talking about tonight. Much of his was focused on Western perceptions of the Middle East. He has a number of books that touch on this that we'll be talking about a little bit. His most famous is called Orientalism, which came out in 1978. Another is called Covering Islam, how the media and the experts determine how we see the rest of the world. Another one called Culture and Imperialism. I'm going to skip the whole list as we move on. What we're hoping is that examining these, examine how these images are formed and the pervasiveness of them in Hollywood films and in the media will help us to get beyond the us versus them mindset. What we want to try to do is simply point out that there is another story. That we can build a new construct to take the place of the us versus them way of seeing. A new view of history, culture, a view that stresses commonalities across cultural lines, from our DNA, to the mathematics we use every day, to our common hopes, dreams, emotions, mankind's common love of music, artistic literary expression, to the countless other ways that make us similar and bound together. The stakes are high. We hope this lecture series can do some good and address these important issues of our time. I'd like to ask Mr. Glasgow to come up and talk about the cycle of